Hey everybody, it's time to Wake Up America!
He's gonna lock her up. He's gonna round him up. ISIS better giddy up. Cause here comes Donald Trump. He's gonna lock her up. He's gonna round him up. ISIS better giddy up. Cause here comes Donald Trump. Here comes to save the day by restoring the old American way. You wanna make America great? Vote Donald J.
Miles, next to me is my man Rick Donovan. We're on location at the Miles of Entertainment studio, located right here in Buffalo, New York, baby. That's right, Trump 2020, getting it ready. Now, Rick, the Democrats' plan of getting it ready for 2020 is to take away the vote from the 2016 election and to impeach our duly elected president, Donald J. Trump.
Well, I don't know what the total numbers were of people that voted. There's 370 million Americans, but you just can't take away the vote of the people, you know? And it's just unfortunate that we're wasting millions and millions of tax dollars on this bullshit from Shifty Shift and,
So when you talk about the millions of dollars, they wasted 30-something million on the Mueller report for no obstruction, no collusion, none of that.
Don't forget the girl that he was supposedly had sex with.
I'm just talking money-wise. They wasted 30-something million on a Mueller report. How much do you think Nancy Pelosi wasted on those pens,
right,
to sign the impeachment? Now, for something that's supposed to be so solemn, so sacred, we're supposed to be prayerful about this impeachment. It took them 30 days or however to bring the documents over to the Senate.
Yeah, after they claimed that it was like such an urgent thing to get it done right away.
These people must have no pride whatsoever. This is a man who spent years falsely claiming that he had evidence as ranking member of the Select Committee on Intelligence of Donald Trump colluding with Russia to steal the 2016 election. That was dangerous and that was damaging to the country in terms of our foreign policy and the administration of government. He had access to the same information that Devin Nunes had about the FISA applications. He told people there's nothing to worry about. They're beyond reproach. He lied about his relationship with the whistleblower. He lied about the transcript. On the day that he started his hearing, Politico said he had misrepresented evidence in this situation as well. The journalists need to hold this person accountable. There has been no accountability for Adam Schiff's dangerous and damaging lies that have hurt the American people.
You know, they don't have anything, but they tried them with the the scandal with the young lady, and that didn't come out.
No, none of the scandal. All of it's a distraction.
Everything.
A distraction from the Epstein case, where Cindy McCain just recently said,
"We benefit, like she mentioned, but actively participating in sex trafficking."
No, it's like everything. It hides in plain sight. Epstein was hiding in plain sight. We all knew about him. We all knew what he was doing.
That she knew, that everybody knew what he was doing.
Right.
And, furthermore, we got a picture of, one of the presidential candidates, Democrat.
Your boys, not mine.
Yeah, Mr. Bloomberg. Mr. Bloomberg, had a picture with Ghislaine Maxwell, who was the girlfriend of Jeffrey Epstein.
Ghislaine, not Jizz.
Go ahead. Whatever.
Yeah, just go ahead.
It is what it is,
her emails recently got hacked.
So we've got some new breaking details in the Jeffrey Epstein case. This according to a report in the Daily Mail. So they say Ghislaine Maxwell's personal emails have been hacked, damaging information, including names of individuals linked to Epstein's sex trafficking case are at risk of being publicly released. That revelation made in a letter by the British socialite lawyers in the defamation case brought against her by Epstein accuser Virginia Jeffrey. So potentially bombshell development here in terms of what could come out at this point.
It absolutely could be huge. So just to give everybody the background, what happened here is that in August, about 2,000 court documents related to Epstein were released. Of those, they were mostly redacted, any personal information about Maxwell. Somebody forgot to redact one of her personal email addresses. So Maxwell's lawyers have basically told the New York federal court that essentially what happened is that failure immediately almost led to the breach of her host's computer, and that computer has, I think they said, 8,000 pages of documents relating to this case. Now, we got to remember, Ghislaine Maxwell is the center of everything. She essentially served, allegedly, as a pimp for Epstein. She travels to the island on several times. Many of the victims allege that Ghislaine Maxwell personally involved herself in some of the molestation of these young girls right alongside Jeffrey Epstein.
It was basically her job, was alleged, to go out and find these girls and groom them and bring them in and participate.
With their young child after learning some of the stuff that they may have learned.
Right.
And It's kind of funny. There was a story out there. I don't know. I have the footage to show you at the moment. But there was a story out there how there was a second Harry, and how this Harry is an imposter Harry. And when the story came out,
Wow.
the other guy mysteriously died. The other guy that said he was the real Harry.
Wow.
And speaking of mysterious death, a former agent just mysteriously committed suicide or died after announcing that Hillary funneled a lot of money through her foundation recently. This guy came up dead.
Yeah, we're going to find out too. You know, the Russian reset.
It's difficult to forge a lasting partnership between former adversaries. It's hard to change habits that have been ingrained in our governments and our bureaucracies for decades. But I believe that on the fundamental issues that will shape this century, Americans and Russians share common interests that form a basis for cooperation. Given our interdependence, any world order that tries to elevate one nation or one group of people over another will inevitably fail. The pursuit of power is no longer a zero-sum game. Progress must be shared. That's why I have called for a reset in relations between the United States and Russia. This must be more than a fresh start between the Kremlin and the White House. It must be sustained effort among the American and Russian people to identify mutual interests and expand dialogue and cooperation that can pave the way to progress. Every country charts its own course. Russia has cut its way through time like a mighty river through a canyon, leaving an indelible mark on human history as it goes. As you move this story forward, look to the future that can be built if we refuse to be burdened by the old obstacles and old suspicions. Look to the future that can be built if we partner on behalf of the aspirations we hold in common. Together we can build a world where people are protected, prosperity is enlarged, and our power truly serves progress. And it is all in your hands. Good luck to all of you.
Indeed, I firmly believe that America's most significant national security interests and priorities could be advanced most effectively through cooperation, not an adversarial relationship with Russia. That's why I committed to resetting the relationship between our two nations, to deepen Russia's integration into the global economy. I reaffirmed our strong commitment to Russia's ascension to the World Trade Organization. We are going to do everything we can to get this done as quickly as possible. And we will be very specific and very clear about the technical issues that Russia still faces. Mr. President, the United States will be your partner as you promote the transparency and accountability and rule of law that's needed to infuse the spirit of innovation throughout your economy. The short answer is that what we saw yesterday was a change in personnel, but not a change in policy.
We will support and back the efforts of the US. As far as our own experience, well-known experience is concerned, I would very much like to see the Afghan people in near future having an effective state and a modern economy. Working with the temporary caretaker leadership of Kyrgyzstan, we believe that they should prove their legitimate character nature, but we consider Kyrgyzstan to be a strategic partner. We will help them both in terms of money and humanitarian aid.
Any actions that are taken to protect civilians are done so not under the flag of any particular country, but that the international community is stepping in.
I mean, here you got Secretary of State, and she goes to Putin, hey, you know what? All your computers are really outdated. Let me help you out. You know, we're going to give you a Silicon Valley.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, you know, the Russians are, quote, investigating and watching Hillary when in turn she's working hand in hand with the Russians who are trying to get some dirt on Donald Trump.
People, do not fall for the biggest bullshit in the history of America-Russian bullshit. When I was president, if you know who I'm talking about, I literally sat next to Medvedev and said,
It was meant to be a private chat on the summit sidelines, but when Barack Obama told Dmitry Medvedev he'd have more flexibility on difficult issues like missile defense after the US election, TV cameras were rolling.
My last election, yeah. After my election, I have more flexibility. Yeah. I understand. I transmit this information to Vladimir and understand that.
That is, of course, Russia's incoming President Vladimir Putin. The US leader has defended his comments ahead of the November poll, insisting they reflect a political reality that everybody understands. Obama's Republican rivals back home, though, have expressed alarm amid claims he's too open to concessions to Russia.
Tell Putin I'll be more flexible after the election. Is that not election meddling? Asking Putin not to do something, maybe invade Crimea, not to do something, maybe cut off the gas that's going to Germany. Don't do that until after I'm reelected. Well, that's election interfering. Now, if we're so close with Russia that I could sit there and ask Medvedev to tell Putin to hold off on something, then how is it that when Donald Trump won, he's now president of America, when Donald Trump won, now all of my friends want to say that Russia's our greatest enemy ever. Well, when did they become our greatest enemy if I just let Hillary give them a Silicon Valley? Why is that important, people? Well, Silicon Valley, for those that may not know, is a lot of computers, powerful processors, not the computers and laptops you have at home. I'm talking towers of processors in Silicon Valley. So we gave Russia an entire Silicon Valley to help them catch up to modern times. Now, what they were supposed to do, Russia, what you were supposed to do was make sure Hillary won that election, but you didn't. And that's why when Trump won, Hillary came out and said it was Russia's fault. So she's telling the truth while deceiving you at the same time. It was Russia's fault, but it's because they didn't rig the election machines that George Soros owns to vote for Hillary.
Yep. And that's it in a nutshell.
And then, as we find out, there's another company called CrowdStrike. That's right, baby. Now, Rick, when the president, the current president, not me, former president, when the current president was on the phone with the UK ambassador, he said, I need you to do me a favor. I want you to investigate Joe Biden. Isn't that what the president said?
No, he did not say he wanted to investigate Joe Biden.
Wait, what did the president say? Straighten me out.
Yeah, he just said he wanted an investigation about what was going on there, if there's any dirty deals going on. With the money that we're going to be investing in Ukraine, you need to know where that money's going.
Exactly. Where it was going in the past, what it was used for. Because as you people, American people know, if you don't use the previous money correctly, why would anybody give you current money? Okay, so the president, duly elected, Donald J. Trump, wants to make sure the current money gets used right. How do you do that? You look back at the past money. Now, put Joe Biden aside.
Let's talk about the connection with the DNC and CrowdStrike.
Exactly. So as this illustration I'm going to put up on the screen will show, CrowdStrike received money from the Democratic National Party for that
4,000, 5,000 here and there, but on
July 11th, it jumped up to 93,000 in one regard and 113,000 I think we see there in another regard. And July 10th is the day that Seth Rich was killed.
The attack happened here early Sunday morning. 27-year-old Seth Rich, seen here in his LinkedIn profile picture, murdered as he walked in a neighborhood he called home.
Seth Rich was shot twice in the back in what police said looked like a botched robbery. He was taken to hospital but died 2 hours later, just one of 139 murders in the DC area last year. Still, the death of somebody linked to Hillary Clinton's campaign was enough to set the internet alight with theories about what might have really happened. In August, WikiLeaks offered a $20,000 reward, and then on Dutch television, WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange suggested that Rich was his source for the Democrats' emails.
I'm suggesting that our sources take risks, and they become concerned to see things occurring like that.
But was he one of your sources then? I mean,
we don't comment on who our sources are.
But why make the suggestion about a young guy being shot in the streets of Washington?
Because we have to understand how high the stakes are in the United States.
And there goes the internet. Hillary personally had Seth killed for being the leaker, just like she did with all those others she supposedly had murdered in the 1990s. We all stayed in conspiracy world until last week, on a local Fox News station.
New information from the family's private investigator suggests there is tangible evidence on Seth Rich's laptop that confirms he was communicating with WikiLeaks prior to his death. Now, the question is, why has DC police, as the lead agency on the investigation for the past 10 months, insisted this was a botched robbery when till this day there is no evidence to suggest that?
So, contradicting the police, Fox says there's no evidence it was a robbery gone wrong. Their source, a former DC homicide detective turned private investigator and Fox News contributor named Rod Wheeler, who says there's proof Seth Rich leaked to WikiLeaks right there on Rich's laptop computer.
I believe that the answer to solving his death lies on that computer, which I believe is either at the police department or either at the FBI. I've been told both.
But you have sources at the FBI saying that there is information
For sure. Wheeler says there is evidence of email exchanges between Seth Rich and WikiLeaks, and Fox went on to claim that Rich's computer showed more than 44,000 DNC emails and 17,000 attachments sent to somebody linked to WikiLeaks. Former Republican Speaker Newt Gingrich took to the air to ask why the Russia investigation was continuing at all while this huge story about Seth Rich's assassination was being ignored.
We have this very strange story now of this young man who worked for the Democratic National Committee who apparently was assassinated at 4 in the morning.
And Sean Hannity talked it up all week.
Welcome back to Hannity. So more on the story of murdered Democratic National Committee staffer Seth Rich.
Shadowy New Zealand internet entrepreneur Kim.com weighed in on Twitter, claiming to have known Seth Rich and saying Seth was the source for WikiLeaks.
Okay, let's get into this. First, to Russia. They've been implicated in 3 Democrat email hackings, not 1. So even if Seth Rich was responsible for the DNC leaks, what about the DCCC leaks? What about the most important ones, the Podesta leaks? There are Russian fingerprints on all of these, according to the US intelligence services. As for those emails that were on Seth Rich's computer uncovered by the FBI says that's false. They're not investigating the killing, and they haven't seen Rich's computer.
And this is what Wheeler has since said about that computer.
I have never seen the emails myself directly. I haven't even seen the computer that Seth Rich used.
So it all comes down to this federal investigator who Wheeler hasn't named. He also claimed that DC police had been warned off the case, but a department spokesman has denied that.
Isn't that ironic?
So he was 187, and yeah, some people are implicated in that we're not directly, but LL or DW or I don't know, MS-13, that kind of thing, So it's amazing that, and we said this before, if you had a server and you called FBI right now and said, I think my computer was hacked, and they came to get your computer and you said, I'm not giving it to you, I'm sending it to the Ukraine, do you think the FBI would let you get away with that?
No way.
So how is it the DNC got to send that server to the Ukraine to a company called CrowdStrike? And when the president said, I would like for you to do us a favor, though, there's a company over there named CrowdStrike. They're run by some powerful people. They have a server that we want and need to have back. Why do we want to need to have it back, Rick?
Because it implicates DNC.
Well, that's why the DNC don't want us to have it back. But we need it back because the DNC told us this is about election integrity. Yeah. We need to make sure that other countries are not interfering with our election. Well, this server can show you who interfered with our election, Rick.
Yep.
Now, why wouldn't the DNC want that out?
Oh, they don't want it. They don't want it out.
So how would you distract from that? You would probably try to impeach the president?
Exactly. On frivolous BS, I mean, the man didn't do anything wrong.
Either of you ever have any evidence of quid pro quo? Mr. Morrison?
No, ma'am.
And Master Volker?
I did not.
Any evidence of bribery?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Not that I can recall.
No, they did not. He said, I want nothing. I want no quid pro quo.
You testified that you had no direct knowledge of any nefarious motivations to withhold aid to Ukraine, correct?
Correct.
And to your knowledge, you testified that there were no strings attached to the aid, correct? That's page 184 of your deposition.
Yeah, no such knowledge. In this impeachment hearing today, where we impeach presidents for treason or bribery or other high crimes,
Where is the impeachable offense in that call? Are either of you here today to assert there was an impeachable offense in that call? Shout it out. Anyone?
Do you have any information regarding the President of the United States accepting any bribes?
No.
Do you have any information regarding any criminal activity that the President of the United States has been involved with at all?
No.
Even the, quote, first witnesses said that they didn't do nothing wrong, and they continue this, you know, onslaught of lies, man, from, the, you know, that little creep Nadler and then Shifty Shift.
Because I'll be able to show you folks right now that we've known since August of 2018, August 31st of 2018, that the FISA, all 4 FISA warrants were fraudulent. And they also tapped into Ted Cruz and tried to spy on his campaign. That information hasn't come out yet.
And we talked about, you know, the FISA warrants in earlier programs.
Well, right, but see, they just announced the FISA screw-ups this past December nationally. So what we've known for over a year just got acknowledged nationally around December 9th.
That at least 2 of the FBI surveillance applications to secretly monitor former Trump campaign advisor Carter Page lacked probable cause. They were unlawful. That's not what you heard from Jim Comey back in 2018. Roll the tape.
I have total confidence that the FISA process was followed and that the entire case was handled in a thoughtful, responsible way by DOJ and the FBI. I think the notion that FISA was abused here is nonsense.
Nonsense. Mark Meadows, your reaction?
Well, Maria, you've been covering this. Trey Gowdy, John Ratcliffe, Jim Jordan, and I knew the facts of this. We knew that not only that third and fourth FISA application had problems with it, but we also know that there were real probable cause concerns with the first and second one. So we haven't seen the end of this. Why does it matter? It matters for this reason. Adam Schiff knew that there were problems with that. He purposely went out and suggested that Devin Nunes was not correct with his analysis, just like he's purposely going out right now, spinning a narrative as it relates to Ukrainian aid being held up for some nefarious purpose. It just didn't happen.
It's all connected, Trey Gowdy.
Yeah, 4 different times the United States government went and asked permission to surveil a presidential candidate. At least 2 of them, they lacked the lowest level of evidence needed. The lowest level of evidence needed. This is not the search of some meth lab in a trailer park. It is surveilling a presidential candidate, and the FBI and DOJ struck out at least 2 out of 4 times, and maybe all 4. Schiff, Comey, McCabe, the Washington Post, New York Times, Politico, they were all wrong, and those crazy House Republicans turned out to be right after all.
And yet, that's not what you heard from Adam Schiff in the trial. Do you believe the president will be acquitted? Very quickly, Mark Meadows.
He will be acquitted. We need to get this over with quickly so it doesn't linger into the November elections.
Okay, we will leave it there. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Impeachment team voted against the aid package to Ukraine. They wanted to impeach Trump over it. So we have Schiff and Nadler. They're all lying right to your face. And right there, they're complaining, like it says here, the Democrat Party and their colleagues in the liberal media want to impeach President Trump for not sending lethal aid to Ukraine quick enough. While they themselves, as you can see right there, we have Jeffries, and we have Lofgren and Nadler, all 3 of them, they voted against aiding Ukraine, right? You cannot not see this.
You know, like I'm saying, so between the Queen, the Vatican, the Boy Scouts,
Prince Andrew,
Prince
yes,
Andrew,
yeah.
you know, Hollywood, as you were saying, there's a lot of pedophiles out there, and Robert De Niro might have been caught up in something like that back in 1998.
And a new clip that we have with Michael Bloomberg and
The photo, right.
with Christine Maxwell, who was the ex-girlfriend of, or maybe still girlfriend, because I still think Epstein's alive.
Well, you know,
Jeffrey
like you
Epstein.
said, there's no footage anywhere now of
Yeah,
him
no,
in
there's
jail.
no
or
footage.
something.
What happened to the 2 corrections officers that were on duty at that time? Are they still alive? You know, I kind of wonder with all this.
Well,
I mean,
see-
we're talking about worldwide pedophilia and human trafficking.
This
man.
is some of the information we would have firsthand if they weren't trying to impeach the president. But trying to impeach the president is their way of covering up all other news.
Yep.
All other news.
And a lot of people don't know, you know, like back when they tried to put Trump with Epstein. No. Trump at that time, Donald J. Trump kicked Epstein out of his Trump Towers because something was going on, but he just said, get the hell off my property.
Yeah.
And
So-
he probably knew then of
Right.
rumors about this character.
Right, because he's probably heard it, and now he has confirmation of it at his own place.
Yeah, and we
So-
can say that because you know how the Democrats, this guy heard something, and now they want to impeach the president. So I guess this is all okay too.
Well, yeah, and the cray ray ray part about it is that, let me put it like this. So I'm speaking with my attorney the other day with a civil city matter concerning food. And I'm talking to my attorney about how he's not a Trump fan and I am. And he brought up the Epstein part, and he goes, well, yeah, but him and Donald Trump are really good friends. I said, yeah, but Bill Clinton was on that plane 26 times. He says, well, I'm not talking about Clinton, I'm talking about Trump. Okay, now let's break that down. Yes, you are. But when Donald Trump knew Epstein, he was a private citizen knowing a private citizen. He may not have access to all the information that a president Clinton would have, while Clinton was still president being on that airplane, or once he left the office having dish Secret Service.
26 times.
At no time in Donald Trump's private life was he the president with Secret Service that he was leaving behind to get on a plane with a known pedophile. Period. To go to his island. Period. So once Jeffrey Epstein was convicted of rape or whatever he was convicted of down in Florida and served time and got
Child
out,
abuse.
any Chuck Schumer, any Bill Clinton, any Brian Higgins, or whoever associated with Epstein once he got out of prison on those charges and still went to his island and participated is in a lot worse shape than the man who stopped hanging with him in 2002 or 4 whenever Donald Trump stopped hanging with him.
Yep. Because Donald Trump, he's a Christian. He's shown the evangelical.
So
the
just to be
Jewish
clear,
nation, everything that that
made Jerusalem the capital of Israel. And when you're going to say, well, I'm talking about Donald Trump, okay, but from when? From 15, 16 years ago. Bill Clinton was still hanging with him up to the time virtually he got caught or captured or found out. After he got out of prison, after he paid a fine, after that, blah, 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 and all the complaints and the issues.
And that's the question, why you Democrats dealt with this guy after he served 2 years as a pedophile. I mean, you're damn dirty.
Well,
the old cliche, birds of a feather stick together.
So you bring up an interesting point. It's the Hugh Hefner effect. So Hugh Hefner, Playboy Ranch, Playboy Bunnies, typical every guy wants to go there, hang out, have some fun, whether you're going there to do something dirty or not. But with Hugh Hefner, you would go there, let's say you would take a friend or your spouse, your girlfriend, whoever, and they offer you something a little different, whether it's younger, same sex, just something freakier or different. And just to say to you, well, we got a private place where you go do it, nobody will know. And you go do it, and they're filming you. Now they have dirt on you.
Yep.
Well, that's exactly the Epstein model, was the Hugh Hefner model.
Yep. That's why a lot of you guys in Hollywood, man, you dumbasses,
So we still need to find out how much Chuck Schumer got.
Yeah.
And what he did with it, how many times he traveled with him.
Yep. We said this on an earlier episode, that we showed it. The money that was given to Chuck Schumer after Epstein served 2 years as a pedophile.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be, how do you not know this? The guy's known all over the elite frickin' world, right? And you don't know he's in jail for 2 years?
We all knew about him. We all knew what he was doing.
Like you're some frickin' college professor who knows everything, like you're Jesus Christ, you're telling the truth. But in all truth, you're Satan, man. You're lying about our president.
Well, speaking of which, I don't know if you saw the clip. I'll try and show it to you before we go. We're having on our show where Chuck Schumer was talking to an empty chair and told somebody to get out of his empty chair at the impeachment.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
On our next show, we're going to bring a little bit local to home, and we're going to talk about the 27th Congressional District where Chris Collins was just sentenced.
We have Kevin.
Chris Collins was just sentenced to prison.
Yep.
So now that's going to be up for election come April 27th-ish or something, sometime in April.
And there's 4 people right now. I don't know if
At least. At least. Oh yeah, Beth Parlato.
Yeah, Stephen Mihailou,
Rob Ort,
and Chris Jacobs.
Yeah. At least right now, those are the 4 that are in contention for the 27th district here locally in the 716 Buffalo area.
And then we have the 26th district. I wonder who's going up against Brian Higgins.
Well, we're going to have to look around and see if we can find the right person to see if we got the right person to do something like that.
Yes.
All right.
So there's a lot of questions to you, Brian. The one that really bothers me.
We're just gonna hold off.
Okay.
Let's get this episode in the bag. We don't want to make it too long. For Jazz Miles, Rick Donovan in Buffalo, go Trump, Trump 2020,
and wake up, America,
and stay awake.
Yes, please.
Until next time.
It's been sticking in my mind since last week. When people first started asking him about this idea of this conversation with Zelensky, he said, keep on climbing basically up this ladder of this story because you're going to fall a long way when the truth comes out. And there's a little piece of me that's wondering if this is all orchestrated to bring everybody down who's seeking impeachment. That may be giving them too much credit. I don't know.